Hello, I'm Sara Anderson, and this is my Prompt 3 narrated presentation. Prompt 3 asks us to take a deeper dive into education and find an issue that we are passionate about. For my problem that I found social emotional learning. Many classrooms, especially in elementary, struggle with behavior, especially since COVID. We've seen a definite intake since COVID. But even before then, we are, as teachers, are expected to meet unrealistic curriculum demands while also managing student behavior. And I think a lot of these behaviors are because they lack social and emotional skills to cope when they don't get their way, or when they're struggling, or when they don't understand, and they act out, and their behavior is speaking volumes. This disconnect places an additional strain on teachers, and it disrupts the classroom climate. I teach pre-K, and social emotional learning is a really big part of our curriculum. And I think if more students had that base, they would have less behavior problems when they get into older elementary, even middle and high school. But what is social emotional learning? Castle says that social emotional learning is the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply knowledge, skills, and attributes to develop healthy identities, manage their emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. And it falls under these 5 categories: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. I'm going to move this up here so you can see all 5. And these 5 core attributes are affecting their classrooms, it's affecting schools, it's affecting your families and your communities. Your self-management might be able to get your work done on time, your independent work, to be able to keep your desk in a tidy manner, that way you're not stressed. Social awareness, knowing when friends need a break, when you need a break, when your teacher needs you to do something, and when they are under stress as well. It also gives you a self-awareness of how you feel. Are you overwhelmed? Are you tired? Are you hungry? I like the iceberg picture where it shows all the things that we see, all the behaviors, and then it shows everything at the root that's actually causing the activity. A child who is hungry might be a little grumpy. They might not focus as well. They might be more tired. Making sure that your children eat a breakfast and a lunch every day, including snacks, really helps them grow academically, which is kind of crazy to think that your hunger has a relationship with your focus, but it does. It also builds their relationship skills. How do they interact with their peers? Can they work in a collaborative group? Can they do teamwork? Can they interact with their teacher? Can they interact with admin? Are they able to make friends? All of those skills start as young as 1 and 2 when they're starting to talk. Even before then, you have a connection with your mother. You have a connection with your family. These relationship skills will go with them for their entire life. And then also responsible decision-making. Are they able to do the safe choices? Are they able to take care of themselves? Are they able to make these decisions? And all of this falls under the social emotional category, which a lot of teachers don't even know about. So who does this impact? Everyone. Everyone is impacted for social and emotional learning. Teachers are struggling to maintain structure and stay on pace with abundant disruptive behaviors. In an article by National Center of Education Statistics, it was stated that during the 2020 and 2021 school year, 32% of public school teachers agreed that student misbehavior interfered with their teaching. I was doing some research, and it was saying that up to 4 to 6 hours every week is spent with disruptive behaviors. That affects students. Students who lack social emotional skills often struggle to regulate and lose focus during those times of dysregulation. They often lose out on academic time while they're having the disruptive episode, but afterward as well, when they have those consequences. When you send a child to the office and they have to spend 30 minutes waiting for somebody to come up there to talk to them, or when they get sent home early, they are missing out on important instructional time. So, social emotional skills, teaching them in advance, helps them actually with academics as they get older. And then also our parents. Parents are often called, that's not what I meant to do. Parents are often called at work to address discipline. I know I personally have called parents to talk to them, so sometimes I think just hearing mom and dad's voice helps. It lets them know that me and their parents are on the same page, and it helps build that community that we are all on the same team, and it's all for the student's best interest. We often see parents having those social emotional deficits at home, where their child is having a meltdown, where their child is not listening, where they don't have those regulation skills, and they see it at home and then they tell us about it at school. And the biggest part is these teachers, these students, these parents, these caregivers, they're all part of the community that sets that foundation. Parents are their first teachers. If they're not teaching at home how to self-regulate, they come to school without those skills at all. And so teachers then pick up the plate for that. And so being a part of the team really helps in making sure that you're all aware on the same page. So what did I do to address this problem? I'm lucky that in pre-K, we already have a curriculum. I think I take it a little bit further just because I think it's very important. I start my day with a good morning song when the kids are finishing up their, back up. First, as soon as they walk in the classroom, I'm greeting the kids by name. I am giving them hugs and high fives and however they want to be addressed. And I make sure that they know that they are welcome in my classroom. And even when a child is late, I'm like, I'm so glad that you're here. When a child comes to school and the first thing they says is, ugh, why weren't you here on time? That doesn't set the tone for any kind of learning to happen during the day. I think it's important to make sure that you address the child every single day. And so I greet them at the door and I help them unpack their bags. And then they start eating their breakfast at their table. And if they finish, they get to draw, which is helping with that fine motor skill. And after our announcements, we have 5 minutes to finish up their breakfast. And then we start our day with the good morning song while people are cleaning and they come to the carpet. And then this encourages that sense of community where they feel seen and they feel welcome, they feel engaged. And then I continue that all day long, trying to make sure that they feel included. I like to model breathing. I like to do yogas. We do lots of movement in between activities just to help with them. Because a lot of times we ask 4 and 5-year-olds to sit for a really long time. 10 minutes to them seems like forever. You need movement breaks. And sometimes I'll be in the middle of the story and I'm like, okay, guys, we have to take an intermission, not intervention. We have to take an intermission and we have to stand up and we have to get these wiggles out. And so the kids will stand up and they'll be wiggling their hands and they'll be wiggling it down. And that's being a socially aware and emotionally aware teacher, because you need to know when your kids have had enough. These are included in our morning meetings as well as transition times throughout the day. In addition, we do a friendship curriculum in our county, and this is based entirely off of social emotional learning. It ties it with literature, but it's really just helping students be intentional in learning these strategies. And these are some of the examples that I use. This picture over here is our calm down box. It's our calm down corner. This is a weighted blanket. We have, since this picture I was taken, added a little stuffy of Embarrassment, who is a weighted little guy. He's about this big and weighs about 3 pounds. And so the kids can sit in there. We have our toolbox of different puppets so they can act out. They have all these strategies that we've talked about. They've even put a little picture in there that they drew where it was like the rating scales that you have at the doctors of how you're feeling, and they wanted to put that in there. Over here on the left is a sign that we actually use it as an anchor chart in our classroom. So we stop when we have something that has upset us. We stop, we think about like how we're feeling, and we say it. So if a friend is touching us and we don't like it, we stop, we think, ooh, I don't like that, and I say, I feel sad. I feel like I don't like that. I feel like you need to pick a different choice. And it really puts the kids in charge of their conversation. We also use lots of social skills or social stories to implement these skills. We do a lot of modeling our language, like, I like this, please don't do that. We have anchor charts in talking about our problem solving skills where we can take turns, we can share, we can set a timer, we can play simultaneously, we can play separately. And then at the very last resort is you ask a teacher. We try to make sure that they're in charge of their own conversations and that they're interacting with each other more than they're interacting with us, because they're their best teachers. And this is some examples of our friendship curriculum. This is the front cover, and if you look down here, it's based off of a school in Milwaukee public school system. This is the first 2 lessons. So the first one is talking about breathing deeply, how we can take our time, we can take a deep breath, and then the anchor chart shows the butterfly breath where we go, or we're slurping our milkshake, or an alligator breath, or we do it like rain. And it just gets the kids very active in their breathing, to be in control of their body. And I even tell them to put their hand on their heart. They can feel how they calm down. And there's all different ways. I like to use the book Alpha Breaths when I do this. This lesson could take us all week, and we're going through different ones. And the book really helps show them examples and shows them that there's no wrong way to breathe as long as you're trying and being intentional. Lesson 2 is talking about it's okay to feel that way, with the book Lots of Feelings. And it shows pictures and it gives you examples, and it's like happy, sad, upset, excited, surprised, and all those ways are okay to feel. The biggest one to take away from that one is anger, and we talk about how it's okay to feel angry. You're entitled to your feelings, however they may be, but what we do with those emotions is what matters. So if we are angry, we can beat our drum, which is us patting our legs. We can stomp our feet, we can shout, we can take a minute and walk around the classroom, we can take a break, but our hands are never for hitting. I like to use the book Hands Are Not for Hitting with our kids, especially if we have a particularly handsy group, but it's good to be proactive no matter what. But we talk about how hands are for high fives, hands are for drawing, hands are for hugs, but hands are not for hitting. And so these kind of examples of lessons in our curriculum really drive home that emphasis. Examples of growth and impact. So since implementing this daily, I've seen my kids be able to identify and regulate more frequently. They are able to engage with our Calm Down Center independently, which has in turn made less conflicts in our classroom, especially during center time and our transitions, which are a little bit less structured than our active learning times. They've also started modeling self-regulation. I hear them on the carpet, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you in my bubble. Can you do this? And telling them, not only identifying how they're feeling, not only identifying that their friend needs some kind of input, but then being able to give them that recommendation. And that's not with every child, and it might not ever be with every child, but I'm hearing that progress in the classroom. I've also noticed that there are more connections amongst the peers. They're able to talk with each other more readily. They're able to tell, like, oh, I got you this spot because it's your favorite color, or oh, I was at your favorite restaurant last night, or I saw you at the ball field because they play sports together. And it's really making that connection grow. And this is my connection to our graduate program. I'm going to move myself over here. I'm moving all around today. So for my curriculum trends and issues class, we talked about a issue that we have in education, which is perfect because this is exactly what this prompt is. And I picked the same one because it's really close to my heart, and I really think it helps with most of my other issues with education. And so I chose social emotional learning due to the role it plays in pre-K. It brought to light so much how social emotional learning is lacking in our classrooms, but it's not necessarily lacking because of not having teacher support. Teachers often do not have the time in the classroom to teach it. They do not have the resources to do it, and they don't have the backing to do it. I know at my school we have a lot of curriculum. I'm lucky in pre-K that I have a very loose curriculum that I can do with pretty much what I wish right now. But our elder grades, even kindergarten, has very set curriculum for social studies, for science, for reading, for phonics, for math, and it has certain times that they have to be taught. And there's not an allotment for social emotional learning. You have to sneak it in different ways. And a lot of teachers are not effective in that because they have not been trained in it. And so this topic, a paper, really helped me to see the need and help open avenues so I can start talking to other teachers and trying to help with them, but also implementing it in my own classroom with fidelity because my pre-Kers are now kindergartners. And so if I can set them up before they go, they can start teaching their peers as early as their first day of school. And I think that's beneficial to everyone involved. My reflection. I like this quote, all behavior is communication. As educators, we hear it, and I never took it seriously until I started looking at social emotional learning. And I realized that everything a child does is communicating something. If they're giving you a hug, they're communicating that they feel safe, they feel loved. If they are doing the activity, they feel engaged, they feel supported. If they are climbing under the tables, their needs are not being met. And so it's really helped me open my eyes to see how I can be proactive with it. And my kid who likes to wiggle, I give them seating options. If he doesn't want to be on the carpet, he can be at his seat. And then suddenly he wants to come back because all of his friends are engaging and he wants to be a part of it. And giving the children the choice. Pre-K is a lot about learning how you feel as yourself and making choices for yourself. And so I think it's important to give them those options or opportunities to be choosing for themselves. And lastly, when we take time to really know a student, we can do amazing things. Not just what color their hair is, what color they like to wear a lot, what's their favorite cat, but really getting to know them. What is their family like? What is their home life like? What do they like to do on the weekends? What really drives them? When you get to know them, you can see how every behavior is communication. When you see your child who's usually super bubbly come in and they haven't talked all day, something's going on. Look into that. It's important. And even if it's just, oh, I didn't sleep well, offer them a cot, let them sleep. Give them their basic needs first so that academics can come later. And I really think if more teachers knew that, we'd have more success in the classroom. And this is my resources that I've used. And so please feel free to check them out. They'll be in my presentation that's linked in my Google Sites. And thank you so much for watching.